Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and once again, we are here to review not one, but two episodes of The Mandalorian this week. Of course, being episode 6, chapter 6, The Prisoner, and episode 7, chapter 7, known as The Reckoning. So, we're going to be talking about two episodes this week, mainly because of the fact that this episode 7, was on a Wednesday and not a Friday, because there's a very small movie coming out that they don't want to compete with, that, they want to be able to get some promotion out for. So they're going to try to put it out early. So I figured, you know what? We haven't reviewed episode 6 yet. Why not just review both episodes in one video? But here with me once again is a man that was once my enemy, but now he is firmly on the right side of things because of my amazing healing abilities. Here he is, FilmFan0599.
My compadre himself, Kevin Falk.
Yes.
Now, hey, what's up, you guys? FilmFan0599 here again. And we're once again here to talk about The Mandalorian. And we're here to talk about episodes 6 and 7, which they are entitled The Prisoner, which they're entitled The Prisoner and The Reckoning. And I'm very excited to talk about both episodes.
Yeah, so just getting into right now, of course, we're going to start off with talking about Chapter 6. So considering how Chapter 5 turned out, I was a little bit worried heading into this episode. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little bit worried because of two things. One, the format of the show was really starting to wear on me. The idea of just him being on the run and him going to all of these different places and it not really connecting to anything, and him just, ending up leaving because they turn on him or they try to go after the child or something. It was starting to get to me. I was starting to get a little bit annoyed by it, but also because episode 5 was a very disappointing episode and it felt very largely inconsequential. So I was worried with how this episode would turn out. But for me, they got right back into it. I fucking loved this episode. I think this is easily one of the best ones yet. And really kind of felt like when we saw, heard about The Mandalorian, this kind of feels like the kind of episode that we were expecting to get with this show. And I really did love what we ended up getting here for sure. There's not a ton to talk about in this one. There's a lot more to talk about with Chapter 7, but there is still stuff to get into this one. Before we do, Film Fan, just your quick thoughts on this one.
They dropped my son. What the hell is wrong with him? Anyways, but no, this was a really good episode. I actually had a lot of fun watching this episode. When Kevin told me that people were kind of, if not really, being high on this episode, I was kind of like, oh no.
Same.
But then I'm watching and I'm like, this is actually a lot of fun. I'm liking where this episode is heading. I like what they're doing here. I like the team. I liked a lot of the action in this episode. It was a fun episode. I did enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah, so obviously we're just going to get more into it. So this episode has a pretty simple premise at first, and then it gets a lot less simplistic, but we'll get into that. So the bulk of this episode, it concerns Mando, and he's reunited with, I believe, one of his former lovers and a couple other of her allies and things like that. And basically they're trying to rescue one of his former, I guess this colleague he used to work with. They're trying to rescue his brother, basically. So they go on essentially this sort of heist mission, and it was very entertaining. I really see Mando with a full team here. I like seeing him, in the thick of things. It wasn't just we got into this community and we were exploring this community. This one was a lot different in that way. It was much more about the mission, and the mission itself I thought was very intriguing. We got a lot of very interesting characters here that I definitely really did like getting into, and I thought just the style of this episode I really did enjoy quite a bit. It very much felt like a heist movie in that way, and I really did appreciate that here.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It was like heat in space, man. That's exactly what this was.
Much,
Dude, it was so much fun. And what I love most about it is style of this episode. The style was Oh, it was so great. Like, I loved the arrangement of characters we got here. Bill Byrne, my boy, was in this. I never
He
thought
was so good.
I never thought I would see Bill Byrne in a Star Wars related thing in my life, but here we are. But he was
And
great.
Mr. Krabs as well. Who thought we'd see him?
Yes, Clancy Brown himself was in this episode. He played Hellboy. I loved it. He was great. Obviously, it's not really Hellboy, but
yes. Well, a Hellboy looking motherfucker. I literally messaged Double Nine when I was watching the episode. Like, damn, I didn't know if they got Hellboy to make a cameo here. This is quite an interesting crossover.
But no, I loved him. I thought he was great. But yeah, I just love the arrangement of characters. I liked Mando's interactions with them.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed that. I enjoyed like the style and the characters a lot with this episode. I thought a job with that.
Yeah, for sure. But the other big thing to talk about here that, obviously is that the episode does very much take a 180. Once they have found the person that they've been trying to rescue, it turns out that there's a lot more at stake here. This character, Quinn, is someone who we find out is firmly against Mando. And here's the thing. This character kind of reminds me of what they were trying to do in the last episode, except here they do it a lot better. This guy, he's not mad at Mando because, oh, he's a lot more powerful and things like that. And, oh, he's someone that is, a threat to us. No, he's angry with Mando because he is disobeying what he was meant to do. He's going against the grain, and he feels that they need to apprehend him for that he feels they need to go after him. And I thought that was a really strong narrative, because even though this episode wasn't a lot going on for Mando, it really did show how much he's changed in that way. How focused he is on this mission, how much he cares about everyone and things like that. And this is something that Quinn is outraged about, because it's not at all what they as Mandalorians are supposed to be doing. And he really feels that he's going against his code of conduct in that way. And I thought it made for a really interesting dynamic for sure. I really liked where they end up going with them just completely turning against him. I was not expecting them to go in that direction at all. I knew obviously there'd be something, because the show has gone very formulaic in that way, where there's always something that ends up happening where he has to flee the location and things like that. But this really turned that on its head very nicely, and I really appreciated that here.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. It was like it took the formula of that, but it changed it in a way, and I actually like how they did it. Because Mando was like, all right, I could kind of trust these guys. I've worked with them before. What can go wrong? Everything could go wrong. And I enjoyed that. I actually liked seeing that in this episode. Honestly, I thought they actually did a pretty good job with that. They took what was kind of formulaic about the show, but still made it really good and did something different with it. And I think that's
they still found a way to make it fresh.
Exactly. I think that's why I enjoyed this episode so much, and what makes it different from, say, episode 5,
Yeah, definitely. So the ending, though, of this episode is absolutely fantastic. When the Mandalorians come in and you got them like rescuing him and things like that. Something interesting to point out, though, is that there were actually a few cameos, not obviously facial wise, but vocal wise, that you might not have picked up on. But some of those people that rescued him, Deborah Chow, Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa, who also directed this episode, and also one I'm surprised Double Nine has not talked about. They actually got the voice of Anakin himself, Matt Lantern, to make a vocal cameo in this episode, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was really cool the way they did that. And actually, I watched an interview with Deborah Chow, and she said that was not planned. They were not originally supposed to have lines. It was something that Filoni thought would be cool, and I think it paid off in the end. I thought it was a good way of giving them a cameo, but not like hamming it up and like really like doubling down on it. It was subtle. It worked for the scene, and I thought it was fun. I liked what they ended up doing there, and it's one of those things where it was hard to pick up on, but now it's just a nice little Easter egg in that way. So I really did appreciate that. And the way the episode ended with him being rescued and all that kind of stuff, And then you still have the other three and them having to nurse their wounds in this like prison transport, even though they were spared. I really like seeing that because it shows that Mando isn't just going to kill everyone. He's only going to kill the ones that he has to, which again, very much goes against his, what he's been told and things like that. And again, just things like that really show how much he's evolving as a character. And I really did like seeing that here.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. I like seeing that here. Also, when when it comes to, I also like that he does stick to his morals as well in this episode too. Like, when you see, all the members getting killed, they don't really get killed, and I like that he, even though they all betrayed him, he still keeps his morals and still, does that. And I really enjoyed that.
He doesn't kill unless they harm the child. That's when he goes.
I mean, if you harm my son, let's just say you're getting the knife in the neck. Now,
well, you've gotten in custody already. Okay.
Yes, but no. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought they actually did a very good job with that.
All right. So, yeah, obviously, like I said, not a lot to say with this episode, but I think we'll just go ahead and give our final thoughts. So, like I said, for me, I thought this was a much better episode after episode 5. It was a much bigger step in the right direction. It was very much like a heist mission in that way, but then turned into something far more complex, kind of exploring, how people feel about Mando shifting and doing his own thing. And I thought it was very effective in that way. The last 10 minutes and the really great character work, this is definitely much closer to what I want in this show. And I'm definitely going to give this episode overall, season 1, episode 6, chapter 6, The Prisoner, in A-.
All right, well, I very much enjoyed this episode. I think it's a very good episode in my opinion. I liked a lot of the elements of this episode. I liked how it was a heist. We were getting like a heist film. Then, it flips on its head and, we get that turn or whatever. It was really good. It was really engaging. Definitely a big step up from last week's episode.
Oh, yeah.
And I very much enjoyed that a lot. So I'm going to give this episode a B+.
All right, so that is our thoughts on, of course, Chapter 6. But now I really want to spend the majority. If you've noticed that I've rushed through this episode, because I just really want to get into Chapter 7. Because, to be honest with you, this is the episode that I've been waiting for. Even though, like I said, I've enjoyed what we've gotten to this show. I think they've accomplished a lot. I've always been wondering, where is this all headed? Is this all for nothing? Is it just going to be, these very quick, like, serialized missions? Like, where is this eventually headed? And I like that finally in this episode, it's leading up to something big. It's leading up to something that is so fulfilling. I love that we got to see everyone together. And for me, this was easily the best episode of the entire season. I don't think there's any question about it whatsoever. I love what we ended up getting here. And I got a lot to say about this one. But before we get into it, Film Fan, I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this one. But just in a nutshell, how'd you feel about this episode?
This was pretty great. I can't lie. Oh, yeah. This was a great episode. I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that we saw here, and really everything is everything's starting to come full circle.
Yeah.
Everything is starting to just pile in. And I really liked seeing that a lot in this episode. Like, we go back to a lot of the characters we've seen in previous episodes and, tying some loose ends and whatever. And it's great. I really enjoyed that a lot. Like, it was awesome. And I liked, there's so much. There is so much to talk about with this episode. I just loved it. It was so great.
Yeah, so you can already see why we really rushed through the last one, because I really want, like I said, I really want to spend the bulk of this video talking about Chapter 7, why we loved it so much, and just really gushing over it, because there's so many things I just love about this one. Right off the bat, I love the plot of this episode. The fact that Greef Karga has made this decision where he's like, you know what? I understand that you don't like what the client is doing. I very much feel like, we need to get rid of this guy for a while. So let's just plan this mission where we're all going to get together, people that you can trust, and we're going to try to finally kill this guy. We're going to try to finally bring justice. And the client's a character that, again, I've said before, he hasn't had a lot to do, but Werner Herzog is so menacing and he's so intimidating in this role that you really do fear him. And you also see that he's a guy that doesn't really want to be bargained with. Like, he has a very specific goal and he isn't really going to do anything to deviate from it. And again, even though the client's only been in 3 episodes, they've done such a great job with setting up that character that you really do want to see this happen. You really do want to see him bring him down. You know, just, you know, how much he's been in control of things, how he was the person that essentially got Mando on this path, and he's the one who instructed him to, you know, kill the child and things like that. So it all really does come full circle in the way, and I really loved the way it all started out there. I thought that was a very, very good plot for this episode, and I think that was the perfect way to really get everyone back here.
Oh, for sure. Like, just we for the end of the season, we go back almost close to the end of it. We go back to where it all started, and it's awesome. Like, Werner Herzog, I love this guy. I literally went, is the legend back? The legend's back! Yes. But, like, he is just so great. Like, I love his character in this, like, and like you said, he's got this menacing presence to him. And, like, his performance is so fantastic. Like, honestly, I love his performance so much in this series, and he was great in this episode. It was just great to see that character again, and it was amazing. Like, I loved it.
Yeah, and the other thing that's great about this episode is that even though, yes, there's a lot going on plot-wise, there's a lot going on for characters here as well. Obviously, for Mando, you know, we've explored a lot of this season in getting more into his code of conduct, how much he cares about the child, and things like him and his, you know, just hatred towards IG-11, because IG-11 was programmed to kill the child, and he hates the fact that, you know, Queel ended up, you know, who we did pronounce his name wrong. I'm sorry. His name is Queel. It's not Kyle. It's Queel. I like that we have confirmation of that here, but, you know, that he, like, reprogrammed him and things like that. And you can see, even though, yes, he's been reprogrammed, Mando still has this hesitance with him. He's very hesitant on whether or not he can actually trust this character. And I like that we got to see more of him, because I like the dynamic that those two had, and I was a little bit disappointed that we weren't going to get to see him anymore. So I like that they brought him back, but I also like that Mando isn't just going to completely trust him either. He is very doubtful when it comes to IG-11. And again, this was a very strong episode for Mando character-wise. You know, him trusting Cara, because she's been someone that has been loyal to him, and he knows the community she's from, and that even though that community is, you know, not sustainable in that way, he knows that she comes from a place that is meant to be, you know, a safe haven, and that she really did want to help him, and that she also is cut from the same cloth, and so he can trust her. And the fact that he now trusts Grief Karga and things like that, they really did a great job with showing how much this character has evolved, and I really did love seeing that here.
Yeah, for sure. I really like that too, because it's like, you know, when we see most of these things, it's like, oh, now the character fully trusts him, whatever. No, Mando is still very, very, very suspicious about this droid. And I liked seeing that. I thought, you know, it was a great character element for him. I really enjoyed that. And when it came to, you know, and I like seeing, you know, because when they brought Cara back, I was like, oh, yes, I'm so excited to see these two again. And, you know, Queel, I hope I said his name right?
Yes, Queel.
I loved seeing him again.
I have spoken. You know, he did it again.
I have spoken. But no, just seeing the three of them together was just, it made for some great moments in this episode. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, seeing Queel become a lot more self-sufficient, basically saying, you know, I'm not gonna pledge my allegiance to anyone. I'm a man of my own, is, again, really good development, because we know that even though Queel was someone who has kind of been Mando's Yoda in a way, where he can go back to him every so often, you know, give him really good advice and things like that, and really help him, you know, get a sense of his morals and things like that. you also see that he's someone that has, you know, he still was subservient to the client and things like that. He still was very much involved with that stuff. And I like the fact that, again, even though we haven't seen a lot of Queel, we understand that he is fervently opposed to what the client has been doing and this whole mission. He now realizes, you know, how good the child really is, how innocent the child really is in all of this. And I thought that was a very effective moment. However, for me, and I don't know about you, my favorite character stuff in this episode actually concerned the character of Grief Karga, who, look, I've really loved Carl Weathers on this show. But I thought after this episode, he is easily one of my favorite characters of the show now. I loved where he ended up going because I'm not going to lie, I was very skeptical of this character at first, knowing where he ended up going in episode 3, where he was very much on the side of we're just going to perform experiments on him and, you know, I'm doing what the client says. Even though he was telling Mando that we got to take him out, I was really hoping, oh God, I hope this is not him trying to mislead him. And this is him not trying to, you know, kill him and things, you know, not trying to give the client what he wants, hand the child over to the client. I thought that's what was going to end up happening. And I love that he goes in this direction where instead he basically learns how wrong he's been, how he very much was on the wrong side of things here. And just the smaller moment where he is, you know, hurt and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen to him. And the child ends up saving him is maybe my favorite moment in this entire show so far. I love the way this was done because you just see how much this has shifted Karga as a character. He realizes the error of his ways now, and I like that he goes as far as to tell them, look, I was tricking you. I wasn't actually going to be on your side. I was going to, you know, end up handing the child over to the client. I like that he exposed that plan to them because it shows now that he knows that he was wrong. He knows that Mando had a point, that they need to protect this child because this child is a good thing. This child has these incredible abilities that can be used to their advantage, but it's also innocent in that way. This is not something that they should be performing experiments on because it's not dangerous in that way. They can't use this child to what I assume they want to use him as a weapon. That's what I always assumed they wanted to do, that they wanted to use the child, they wanted to like weaponize him and use him to their advantage. But Karga's now seeing that we can't really do that here. This is someone that is far more profound. And I like that he's gone in this direction where now he is very much on Mando's side. There's no more skepticism there. There's no more of him kind of wavering and trying to figure out, you know, where does this guy really, what side is this guy really on? It's just really great development for this character. And that's the thing, is that even though I think they've done a good job with most of these characters, I haven't connected them in the way I have with Mando. And this is really the first episode where I feel we have a character that's almost just as written as him. And I absolutely loved what they did with him here. I thought it was excellent character work.
Oh, I agree 100%. Like, because I did have that same skepticism going into this episode with, his character coming back. It's like, oh, it's probably just going to be, he's going to betray him. They're all going to get captured. But once he sees what that child could actually do and why he's actually protecting him, he's like, now I get it. Now I know why you're doing this. And it's great stuff. And it's probably my favorite thing about this episode too. It's honestly great character development. I really like seeing that a lot in this episode. Like he just says fuck it to his original plan and just like, we're going to do this your way now. And I liked that. I liked seeing that, honestly. Like, and I thought Carl Weathers was great in this episode, honestly. Like,
this is easily his best performance in the show, without a doubt.
Like, I just loved what they did with this character here.
Yeah, he was fantastic for sure. But of course, the big thing that we have to talk about, we've got a lot into the characters and things like that and all the stuff that really worked. We got to talk about this ending because holy shit, does this show know how to go out on a really good cliffhanger that is going to set up for, I think, a real balls to the wall finale. we've been anticipating Giancarlo Esposito's character for a while now. We knew he was going to be in the show. We knew the name of his character, but we had no idea what his purpose was going to be. I thought for sure he would end up being some kind of villain. It's Giancarlo Esposito. If you got this guy,
Gustavo Fring himself. Come on.
You're going to get him as a villain. That's who he's going to be most of the time. So I wasn't too surprised that he ended up going in that direction, but how quickly it ended up happening really threw me off. I was not expecting to just go in there and just kill the client and all these guys, and all of a sudden he's like, you have something I want, and he just straight up takes it. He takes the child for himself. We're not entirely sure why, and Queel, in a moment of pure selflessness, because again, he's doing what he feels is right, ends up getting killed. And it's a very effective moment. It's very tragic to see. This is the first time things have not gone in Mando's way. And now I see what the show was trying to do, was trying to get us to a point where we felt the formula. We kind of felt like, okay, this is what the show was going to be. This is how they were always going to get out of these situations. So I like that this is the first episode where things do not work out well for him. It reminds
me. I love that. It was like, oh, you thought Mando was gonna get out of this. Oh no, sir.
Yeah, no, it was definitely really good. And I don't know about you, but it kind of reminds me of Empire Strikes Back in that way, because every single Star Wars film, minus Empire and Force Awakens, end with a sense of complete finality. They end with a sense where, you feel secure. You feel like the loose ends have been tied up and things like that. They might set things up for other films, but they always end in complete finality. This is kind of similar to that, where this is the first one where you don't feel good at the end of this. You're like, fuck, why can't we just get the episode on Friday? Why do we gotta wait a week? I know Rise of Skywalker coming out, but I care way more about how they end up solving this, because I really don't know how this is gonna go now, because the child was very much Mando's rock in that way. And Mando not having the child, knowing how he's gotten when when the child has been threatened or the child has almost been taken out, I can't imagine how he's going to be with the child separate from him. I think he's going to be full guns blazing here, and I think it's going to be to a point where he's going to get a little erratic, and I think he's going to need someone like a Kara or someone like a Karga to maybe pull him back and get him to be like, look, you really gotta think here. So I think there's a lot of possibilities for where they can take this. I really love this. I really love the way this ends, and I think we're in really great shape for, like I said, what's sure to be, I think, a very intense and a very thrilling end to this season. I really don't know where they're going to go. I'll get more into one thing that I hope they're not doing in the finale, but I really loved everything about this ending, and I think it just was absolutely fantastic here.
This is how you set up for a season finale perfectly. Oh, yeah. Dude, when we see the guns blazing, the client is dead. We just, oh man, I was like, okay, that just took a 180. Okay. Yeah. And then Carlo Esposito, my boy, my man. I'm so hyped to see. Oh, I'm so hyped to see him next week. I'm so hyped to see what he has to offer. Oh man, what an introduction to this character. And they're pinned down. They are all pinned down. They are fucked. And Quill is dead. The fucking child is gone.
Yeah.
It's all fucked. And I'm interested.
The whole thing's a disaster.
I'm interested to see where this heads into the season finale next week.
Yeah, now the one thing, like I said, that I am a little bit worried about, and I don't think they're going to do this, but I hope they don't. I hope this is not just Moff Gideon is a one-episode sort of character. I hope that he doesn't end up getting killed in this finale, because it's Giancarlo Esposito. There's so much potential with this character. What I've read they're doing with this character sounds so interesting to me. It's really going to get more into the lore of Star Wars and things like that, and how he's been affected by events of other movies, and I think there's so much potential there that I really hope they don't just end up killing him off in the next episode, because I think that'd be a huge missed opportunity. I don't think they're going to do that, but there's always that worry considering that it is the finale. I hope this is the beginning of something big. I hope this isn't just, we have this villain coming in because we need to get to the end of things. We need some sort of through line. I hope it's just just a little taste of what this villain could potentially be moving forward.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I hope he's not just a one-off film. I really don't. I really want him to stay for a little bit. I want this to be kind of like, we might get a big action sequence, but I hope this just makes him even more pissed off. And then in season 2, that's when the real shit will go down.
Yeah, that's where the actual story is going to start.
Oh man, but I'm excited for the finale. I hope it's great. They got something pretty. Yeah. They have a great setup. I just hope it pays off in the end.
Yeah, same. I really hope that they have a really nice payoff here. But the one thing that we definitely can agree on is that, look, we've talked about her before, but Deborah Chow, I mean, holy shit. When she directs an episode of the show, she just goes all out. She gives it her all. And I really wish that she was directing every single episode of the show, to be honest with you, because the show is at its best when she is at the helm. And I really do think at this point, if she continues to deliver in the way she is, I think she may just become the best person working for Star Wars right now. I really do, because I think she has so many great ideas. I think she has a fantastic eye for not just action, but the dialogue, the characters. She just has it all down pat. And I think she just really understands Star Wars in that way. And it's very clear to me why they would just give her the entire Obi-Wan series to direct, because she definitely knows what she's doing. And I hope in season 2 we see her direct a lot more, because, oh my God, I love everything she's doing right now. And I just hope that we continue to see more from her, because I think she just has so much potential as a director. And especially after these 2 episodes, I really wish she was just in control of the show, because she's just impressing the hell out of me with her relentless tone, with how so things feel so much more brutal, things feel so much more high stakes whenever she's at the helm. She's just such a force to be reckoned with, and I love everything she's doing here.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Her directing was amazing with this. It just gets me more and more hyped to see what she'll do with the Obi-Wan series. It really does. Like, it seems like you said, whenever she's at the helm, it seems like this is when the show is at its best, to be honest. Yep. Like, she just did such an incredible job directing this episode. Like, I feel like she really understands what Star Wars is about, and just like, and she knows how to bring it to life. Like, she has a great understanding of what makes this series work, and this is just a prime example of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's the perfect way to sum it up. So, yeah, I think we've really gotten into everything we just adore about this episode, because there was so much that we really did love here. So I'll just say it right now. Like I said, for me, this is easily the best episode so far. I really don't think there's any contest whatsoever. This felt the most focused. This felt like it had the most character. And again, it got me to care for these other characters just as much as I did for Mando. Grief Karga was a character I enjoyed, but now I think is shaping up to be one of the best characters of this entire show. I can't wait to see where that character's going. Cooley had his best stuff in this episode. Carr is becoming a very interesting character. I really love where we're headed with Moff Gideon. I think he could become a very menacing and very methodical sort of presence. I'm very excited to see where he ends up going. The directing here was certainly at its best. Everything felt so much more high stakes. Everything just felt like this is what we've been building to. And if it's going where I think it's going to, I think we really are in great shape for a truly amazing finale. I cannot wait to see where it's going to go. Like I said, this was easily my favorite episode so far. I will say it definitely does make chapters 5 and 6 feel a little bit, especially chapter 5, they're a little bit inconsequential, because those characters did not come back. Those are the only installments where there were not characters that returned. I mean, it's mainly because almost everyone in chapter 6 betrayed him. And then chapter 5, I mean, what the fuck is Amy Sedaris gonna do? I mean, but yeah, but overall, this was easily my favorite episode of this show, and I'm definitely gonna give this episode of The Mandalorian, season 1, episode 7, chapter 7, The Reckoning, overall in A.
I love this episode a lot. I think it's a really fantastic episode, in my opinion. It really sets up for a lot of the things that could go down in the finale. Like, this is how you set things up for certain things. I do think they do an absolutely fantastic job with it. I absolutely loved this episode a lot, from its directing to its characters to its amazing moments. I think it's a fantastic episode, and I'm going to give it an A-.
Right, so with that, we have reviewed both episodes of The Mandalorian, episodes 6 and 7. Lots of stuff to talk about for sure, lots of stuff to think about, and, even though we got Rise of Skywalker coming out, which I know, we're both very excited for, I have a feeling we're even more excited to see how Mando is going to wrap up next week for sure. I can't believe we're already at the end of the season, but of course, before we close things out, I am going to give FilmFan0599 his little, end speech and things like that, all that good stuff.
Thank you once again, Kevin Falk, for having me on for this review. I very much appreciate it, and YouTube channel FilmFan0599, and yeah, we'll see you all later for next week.
Yes, and speaking of next week, before we get into that, so next week, I'm just going to announce it right now, similar to this time last year, next week when we will be reviewing the show, I will be out of town. I will be down in Westboro, Massachusetts to visit my favorite ginger once again, and he has been watching the show as well, so I may or may not also have him next week. I'm not sure. You might see the three of us, you might just see the two of us, but there will definitely be a review. There will definitely be a review. I'm not going to let that get in the way of this. Hopefully, I can get him to get caught up in the show, because I feel like the three of us reviewing it would be really fucking epic, and I'd really love to see that happen. Hopefully it's not like my Toy Story 4 review where it's a giant clusterfuck and everything's off center and things like that, but yeah, hopefully we can make something happen, because that'd be really cool to see. But again, I'm not going to confirm or deny anything yet. We'll just have to see how things turn out. But considering that I'll be down in Boston and Caden will be there, and since he's watched a good portion of the show, I'm hoping that I can get him to get caught up, so we can end up, the three of us can end up reviewing the show together. But yeah, also speaking of Caden, I know you and him will also be reviewing Rise of Skywalker. Is that going to be on your channel or his?
Probably on my channel.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely look forward to that, guys. Like I've said before, this dude is the biggest Star Wars fan that I know. He worships, lives and breathes Star Wars. It's something that he just talks about constantly, and he's very good when it comes to that stuff. He definitely knows his shit. So definitely check out that review when it's out there. But yeah, guys, other than that, that's it for our review of this week of The Mandalorian. Let us know what you guys thought of both of these episodes overall. Love to hear your thoughts on them. And I was very happy that, and I'm sure Film Fan was also happy that we got this review up a lot earlier than we have the other ones for sure, because he has been on my ass about that, and for good reason, honestly, for good reason. But either way, guys, for this video, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.